The wind blew across the metal plains of Ravo Station, carrying dust and the smell of burnt wires inside an old hangar. A single light flickered above a bench filled with broken ship parts. A human mechanic named Cole sat there, wiping oil from his hands, thinking about how quiet the universe felt tonight. He had fixed everything from engines to oxygen lines, but nothing ever fixed the emptiness inside him. Then the hangar door creaked, slow and hesitant. Cole looked up, expecting another customer, or maybe a patrol drone. But instead, a small shadow stood in the doorway, shaking, a little alien girl, her clothes torn, her pale blue skin streaked with tears. In her tiny hands, she held a round glowing sphere that hummed softly. "Can you fix it?" she whispered, her voice thin like broken glass. Cole frowned, walked closer, and knelt down so their eyes met. The sphere looked like a toy, but strange golden lines ran through it, pulsing like a heartbeat. "What is this thing, kid?" he asked gently. She sniffled. "It's all I have left." Cole sighed, took the orb carefully, feeling warmth travel through his fingers. "All right," he said. "Let's see what we can do." He placed it on the bench, pulled out his tools, and the girl climbed onto a stool to watch. The orb's glow flickered each time he touched it. As if it was alive, he glanced at her. "You got a name?" "Lyara," she said softly. "And thank you for helping me." Cole nodded, pretending not to notice the strange insignia on her sleeve, a golden crest shaped like twin suns. He had seen that symbol once on a war report broadcast, the emblem of the Imperial throne. He said nothing, deciding not to scare her, as he worked. The air filled with a low hum, the sound of power trying to return. Sparks danced across the bench like fireflies. The girl gasped, clutching the edge of the table, her wide violet eyes glowing in the dim light. "Easy," Cole said with a small smile. "It's just waking up." But deep inside, something about the device made him uneasy. He had seen a lot of tech in his life, Terran, Toran Vexian, but never anything like this. The circuits seemed to shift by themselves, rearranging under his touch. Almost as if the machine knew him, the girl suddenly whispered, "Please don't let them find me." Cole froze, his wrench halfway through a turn. "Who's them?" he asked. Her lips trembled. "The ones who took my father. They want this." She pointed at the glowing orb. "And they'll hurt anyone who helps me." Cole felt a knot tighten in his chest. He had promised himself long ago never to get involved in anyone's trouble again. But looking at the child, dirty, scared, clutching a piece of light as if it was her heart, he couldn't walk away. He sighed. "You're safe here, kid. I'll fix it and you'll be fine." Minutes passed. The hum grew louder, and suddenly the orb pulsed bright gold. Cole stepped back, shielding his eyes. The glow spread across the hangar like sunrise, painting the walls with moving patterns. A voice, faint but powerful, echoed inside his head. Energy core reactivated, transmitting distress signal to Imperial command. Cole's eyes widened. "Wait, what signal?" he shouted, slamming the orb with his glove to stop it. But it was too late. The beam of golden light shot straight through the roof, slicing the night sky. Outside, the storm clouds turned silver as something in orbit began to answer the call. Lyra's face went pale. "No, no. They'll come," she cried. Cole grabbed the orb, wrapped it in a heat shield cloth, and looked out the window, above the horizon. Several dark shapes appeared, ships descending fast, their engines glowing crimson. "Kid," Cole said quietly, "you mind telling me who exactly your father is?" Her eyes filled with tears again. "The Emperor of Ravos Prime," she whispered. "And now, they'll kill us both." Cole stared at her, speechless for a moment, then let out a slow breath. "Well, that's just perfect," he muttered, grabbing his toolkit outside. Thunder rolled as enemy craft broke through the clouds. Inside the hangar, the lights flickered again. Cole looked at the frightened child hiding behind an engine crate. He didn't know why he cared, but something in her eyes reminded him of home. Of the daughter he lost years ago during the war. He crouched beside her, trying to smile. "Listen, Liara," he said. "I don't know what's going on, but I'll keep you safe. I promise." She nodded. Clutching his sleeve tightly, the ground trembled as the first ship landed outside. Metal feet hitting the soil like thunder. A red scanner light swept across the hangar walls. Cole took a deep breath and whispered, "Stay low. Don't move." He reached for his plasma wrench, a heavy tool modified long ago for more than repairs. As the hangar door began to shake, a voice boomed from outside. "By order of the Imperial Council, surrender the fugitive child." Cole tightened his grip on the wrench and whispered to himself, "Guess I'm fixing more than machines tonight." The girl hid her face as the light of the doorway grew brighter. And the human mechanic, who once only fixed broken ships, now stood ready to face the storm that would change both their destinies. The air outside the hangar grew heavy, a low rumble shaking loose bits of dust from the ceiling. Cole could hear the sound of engines roaring above, growing louder each second through the narrow skylight. Crimson streaks cut across the night, a mark of incoming Imperial ships. Liara hid behind a stack of metal crates, clutching the wrapped orb close to her chest. Her small hands trembling, Cole checked the power levels on his tools. His plasma wrench humming softly in his grip. He didn't want to fight, but he had a feeling trouble had already found them. He peeked through a crack in the hangar door and saw armored soldiers stepping off their dropships. Their armor glowed red under the dust storms, each one carrying shock rifles and scanning devices. Cole whispered, "All right, kid, listen carefully. We can't stay here." Liara looked up, her violet eyes wet with fear. "They'll kill me if they find me," she said. Cole crouched beside her. "Not if I can help it." He pointed to a small hatch in the floor, a maintenance shaft leading to the lower tunnels. "You crawl through there and head west till you see blue light. Wait for me there." Liara hesitated. "What about you?" Cole smiled faintly. "I'll buy us some time." The hangar door shook again as a voice boomed from outside. "Attention, mechanic of Ravo Station, surrender the fugitive immediately." Cole rolled his eyes. "Guess subtlety's not their thing," he muttered. He moved to a control panel and shut down all external lights, plunging the hangar into near darkness. The red emergency glow bathed the walls as he armed a few old repair drones. "Let's give them a warm welcome," he whispered. Tapping a sequence into the panel, Liara watched him, confused. "You're not a soldier, are you?" "Not anymore," Cole said quietly, but some habits die hard before she could reply. The hangar door exploded inward with a burst of energy. Metal shards flew across the floor as soldiers marched in. Weapons raised, their leader, a tall figure with silver armor, shouted, "By order of the Regent Council, hand over the royal heir." Cole stepped forward into the half-light, holding up his grease-stained hands. "Hey, you're damaging my workshop, you know that?" he said, trying to stall. The leader aimed his weapon. "You have 10 seconds, human." Cole smirked. "That's all I need." He pressed a button hidden under the workbench, and the old repair drones came alive. Sparks and smoke filled the hangar as the drones shot welding beams and magnetic pulses at the soldiers. The first few stumbled back, their armor short-circuiting. Cole ducked behind a turbine shell, firing his plasma wrench like a short-range blaster. Energy bolts hit the walls, lighting up the room in blue flashes. Liara crawled through the maintenance hatch, whispering, Please be safe outside. More dropships landed, filling the air with thunder. Cole grabbed a fallen rifle and fired at a control conduit, causing the hangar's heavy door to collapse. The noise echoed for miles, drowning out the soldiers' shouts. He ran toward the shaft and slid inside, sealing the cover behind him. His breathing was rough, his mind racing, but he smiled when he saw Liara waiting at the end of the tunnel. "You made it," she said with a small sob. "Yeah, and I'm gonna need a new roof," he joked weakly. They crawled through the narrow passage until they reached an old cargo lift. Cole pushed the lever, and the platform groaned to life, lowering them into the city's underbelly. Down there, only the hum of machinery and distant echoes filled the air. Liara sat beside him, clutching the orb again. "Why are you helping me?" she asked softly. Cole stared into the dark. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it." She looked confused, but didn't ask more. He glanced at her insignia again, realizing the truth of what she'd said earlier. If she really was the Emperor's daughter, this wasn't just a rescue, it was rebellion. Above them, explosions shook the ground, the enemy tightening their net. Cole tightened his gloves and checked his tool belt. "We've got to move fast," he said. "These tunnels connect to the scrapyard desert. We can lose them there?" Liara nodded, wiping her tears. "I trust you." Her voice was small, but those words hit him harder than any bullet. As they moved deeper, the orb in her hands flickered again, glowing brighter with each step. Cole frowned. "That thing's reacting to something," Liara nodded nervously. "It's alive. It remembers who you are." Cole stopped, staring at her. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, a loud clang echoed from behind. Soldiers dropping into the tunnel. Cole cursed under his breath, grabbed Lyra's hand, and ran. The tunnels were narrow and filled with pipes, every step echoing like thunder. Ahead, he saw daylight leaking through a grated exit. Almost there. He shouted. Blaster fire roared behind them, sparks flying as energy bolts hit the walls. Liara screamed as one beam grazed her shoulder. Cole turned, firing back with the stolen rifle. Each shot echoing through the dust. The soldiers fell back for a moment. Giving them just enough time to burst through the exit, they rolled into the open wasteland. Hot wind cutting across their faces, the desert stretched endlessly. Silver dunes under twin suns rising in the distance. Cole looked back at the smoke rising from the tunnels. "They're not gonna stop," he said. Liara held the orb tightly. "Then neither will we," Cole nodded, setting his jaw. "All right, Princess," he said. "Let's see how far we can get before your friends up there catch on." Behind them, the Imperial dropships circled like vultures, scanning the ground. But out here, among the dunes and wrecks of forgotten wars, the human mechanic and the lost alien heir disappeared into the light of a new dawn. And far above, aboard the enemy flagship, a voice crackled through the comms. Target escaped with human assistance. The reply came cold and certain. Find them. The Emperor's blood must not survive. The twin suns of Ravos rose slowly over the horizon, lighting the wasteland in shades of orange and silver. Cole and Liara moved through the desert, their boots sinking into soft sand. The broken remains of old ships scattered around them like bones. The human's clothes were torn, his hands burned from the fight. But he kept walking. Behind them, smoke from the hangar still climbed into the sky like a signal. Calling every hunter in the sector, Liara stumbled, holding her shoulder. Cole caught her before she fell. "Easy, kid. You're still bleeding." He tore a piece of his sleeve and tied it around the wound. The girl looked up at him, her violet eyes soft. "Why do you help me when I only bring danger?" Cole smiled faintly. "Because that's what humans do. We fix things, even when they're broken beyond repair." They stopped beside a half-buried shipwreck, its hull rusted and twisted by time. Cole climbed inside, checking the control panels. "If I can power this thing, maybe we can reach the mountains." Lyra sat near the entrance, clutching the glowing orb to her chest. The light pulsed gently, almost like it was breathing. Cole looked at it, curious. "That thing again," he muttered. "It's not just a toy, is it?" Lyra shook her head. "No, it's called the Heart of Virel. It holds my family's legacy." She hesitated, then added softly, "And it's what they're killing for." Cole frowned. "Legacy? What kind of legacy kills people?" Her voice trembled. "It's not meant to kill. It's meant to choose." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Choose what?" Lyra looked down. "Who is worthy to rule the Empire?" For a moment, silence filled the air, except for the desert wind. Cole leaned against the console, shaking his head. "So you're saying that Ball of Light decides who sits on the throne?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Only someone pure of intent can activate it. Only one who wants peace." Cole chuckled dryly. "Then your people are in trouble." "Peace isn't exactly popular these days." The orb suddenly flickered. Golden lines running across its surface. Lyra gasped. "It's responding to you?" Cole blinked. "To me? I'm just a mechanic, kid." But the orb glowed brighter, projecting faint light across the walls. Symbols, maps, and a voice whispering softly. "Human genetic signature detected. Terran engineer class 419 confirmed." Cole froze. His breath caught in his throat. "That's not possible," he said quietly. "Those old Terran programs were lost centuries ago." Lyra looked at him, realization dawning in her eyes. "You're the one it was meant to find," she whispered. "The heart recognizes you." Cole stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or panic. "Great," he said finally. "I fix your toy. And now I'm somehow part of an alien prophecy." Before she could answer, a deep roar echoed in the distance. Cole peeked outside and saw dust clouds moving fast. Hoverbikes. "A hunting party. Looks like we've got company," he said grimly. He grabbed the orb, stuffed it in his satchel, and pulled Lyra by the hand. They ran through the dunes, heat waves rippling around them. The engines of the pursuers grew louder, metallic voices shouting through combs. "Target confirmed. Engage and capture." Cole stopped at a rocky ridge, turning to face the oncoming riders. He opened a panel on his wrist bracer, tapping quick commands. Hidden charges he'd planted back at the wreck flashed red on his scanner. He smiled. "Now let's see if my old tricks still work." A second later, the desert exploded behind them, flames and sand bursting high into the air. The shockwave threw several riders off their bikes. Scattering the rest, Lyra stared in awe. "You knew they'd track us?" Cole nodded. "Always assume the worst. It's how you stay alive." They climbed higher into the rocks until the wreckage and smoke were far behind. The suns began to sink again, painting the desert gold and blood red. As they rested in a cave, Lyra leaned against the wall. Her breathing slow, Cole handed her a canteen. "Drink. It's not much, but it'll help." She smiled weakly. "You sound like my father." Cole looked away. "Yeah, well, I'm not much of a parent." The orb glowed again. Dim but steady, Lyra traced its lines with her finger, whispering, "It's alive, you know. It remembers things." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "Voices, faces, memories of those who served the Emperor," she said. "It knows you, Cole." He frowned. "I don't serve anyone anymore." But the orb pulsed once. As if disagreeing, night fell, stars spilling across the endless sky. Cole sat near the cave mouth, staring at the stars. He hadn't seen them like this in years. Clear, endless, and full of questions. Lyra joined him, her small voice breaking the silence. Do humans have empires too? He chuckled softly. We used to, long ago, but we destroyed them ourselves. She looked sad. Then why do you help me save mine? Cole sighed. Because maybe, just maybe, I can fix one before it breaks. A sudden crack of thunder cut through the calm. Cole stood instantly, scanning the horizon, far off. He saw flashes of light, dropships. Hundreds of them, descending like a storm. Lyra's eyes widened. They found us again. Cole grabbed his pack and tools. Then it's time to move. The mountains will hide us. They ran through the night. Shadows racing under the moons behind them. The desert burned with fire and pursuit, but ahead lay something far greater, a secret buried in the mountains, waiting for a human's touch. And as the first blast lit the desert floor, Cole realized something he hadn't felt in years. He wasn't just fixing a machine, he was part of something much bigger. Something that could change the fate of two worlds. The night was cold in the mountain valley, the wind carrying thin dust that sparkled under the moons. Cole and Lyra had climbed for hours, moving through narrow paths carved by time and storms. The little princess was tired, but she refused to stop. The glowing orb still pressed to her chest. Cole led the way, flashlight in one hand, plasma wrench in the other, eyes scanning every shadow. They finally reached a small cave, hidden behind crystal-covered rocks. Inside, the air was warmer, the walls shimmering with faint blue veins of energy. Cole dropped his pack and sat down, breathing heavily. We'll rest here. Kid, Lyra nodded, sitting beside him, her small shoulders trembling. For a long moment neither spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the orb. Then Lyra whispered, The heart of Virel chose you for a reason. Cole looked at her, confused. I keep hearing that, but what does it mean? She held the orb toward him, its golden light dancing over her fingers. When my father was alive, he spoke of an ancient alliance, she said softly. He said our empire would fall if we forgot who helped us build it. Cole frowned. Humans built this thing? Lyra nodded. A long time ago, before the war. Before the empire turned cruel. She touched one of the glowing lines on the orb, and an image flickered above it, a hologram of humans and aliens working together, building a great city among the stars. Cole stared in silence, watching the scene shift to show a younger emperor shaking hands with a human engineer. The name flashed across the display. Engineer 0419, the same number the orb had spoken before. Cole's heartbeat slowed, a chill crawling up his spine. That can't be, he whispered. That's me, or at least my line. Lyra tilted her head. Your ancestors helped build the heart. That's why it recognizes you. Cole rubbed his forehead, trying to process it all. So your empire started with us. And now they're hunting us, he said quietly. Lyra nodded sadly. The council wanted power. They erased history. They called humans obsolete. Cole laughed bitterly. Yeah, we've been called worse. But his eyes softened when he saw the tears forming again in hers. He handed her a small metal mug of water. Here, drink. You need your strength. She smiled faintly. You talk like a soldier. Used to be, he said. Terran Defense Force, 20 years ago. What happened? She asked. He looked away. Lost my daughter, lost my faith. Left the war behind? Silence fell between them, heavy and quiet. Then the orb pulsed again, casting golden waves across the cave. A voice echoed, mechanical yet warm. Reactivation sequence complete. Human key and royal air detected. Cole jumped up. What the hell does that mean now? Lyra looked frightened. It's linking us. It's joining our life signatures. Cole scowled. You could have warned me before it started doing weird magic. She almost laughed through her tears. It's not magic, It's destiny. Outside, the sound of thunder rolled through the valley, not from the sky, but from engines. Cole rushed to the cave mouth and saw lights far below. Hundreds of them. The fleet, he muttered. They found us. Liara stood beside him, eyes glowing in the dark. They'll burn the mountain to ash. Cole clenched his fists. Not if I can help it. He ran back inside, pulling wires from his pack, setting up small charges along the tunnel. You're planning to fight them? She asked in disbelief. He grinned. Not fight. Stall. There's a difference. The ground began to tremble as heavy transports landed near the base of the ridge. Liara grabbed his arm. You'll die if you stay. Maybe, he said, but you'll live. And that's the part that matters. The orb glowed again, its voice rising. Human Engineer 0419 command authorization available. Do you wish to awaken the core? Cole hesitated. What core? Liara gasped. The one buried under Ravos. The ancient engine that powers worlds. Cole looked down at the orb, then at her. If I do this, what happens? Her answer came like a whisper. Then you'll change everything. He sighed, staring out at the storm of fire descending the valley. All right, Hart, he said. Let's see what I'm still good for. He placed his hand over the orb, light bursting around them like a sunrise. Symbols filled the air, spinning faster and faster. Liara shielded her eyes as the floor of the cave cracked open, revealing ancient machinery glowing deep below. The mountain shook, the noise deafening. Core awakening in progress, the voice declared. Energy rushed upward through the ground, lighting the entire valley. Cole could feel it. Power older than any empire. Human and alien combined. Liara fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. It's alive again, outside. Enemy ships struggled to stabilize as gravity itself began to twist. Engines failed, and fire rained across the mountains. Cole shouted over the roar, We've got to move now. He grabbed Liara, pulling her toward the cave exit as stones fell around them. The light behind them grew blinding, and in that chaos, the orb spoke once more. Final sequence prepared. Human and air must stand together to complete restoration. Cole stopped. Panting? It's not done? Liara shook her head. It needs both of us. My blood and your code. He stared at her for a second, then smiled. Guess it's a good thing I'm a fast learner. They stood together at the edge of the collapsing cave, the world shaking beneath their feet. Hand in hand, they faced the storm of light that could either save or destroy everything. And as the mountain split open like a sun being born, Cole finally understood. He wasn't just fixing a broken machine. He was repairing a forgotten bond between species. A promise buried in time, and one only he could keep. The light burst across the mountains like dawn turned to fire. Cole and Liara stood on a ledge as the ground beneath them shook. Streams of golden energy ran through the stone like veins coming alive. The heart of Varel floated between them, spinning faster, glowing brighter than the sun's. Liara held out her hands, tears streaming down her face. It's calling us, she said softly. Cole squinted at the blinding glow. Then let's answer. They stepped forward together. Their shadows swallowed by light, the orb split open, releasing a pulse that filled the sky. Every Imperial ship above froze in midair. Engines dying, lights flickering out, the shockwave spread for miles. Silencing the whole valley, Cole felt weightless. His mind filled with images that weren't his. He saw ancient builders, humans and aliens working side by side. He saw the first emperor swearing an oath with Terran engineers. And he saw betrayal, greed, corruption, and war tearing everything apart. Then he heard the voice of the heart again, soft and eternal, balance restored. Unity reawakened. Liara gasped as the light faded. Around them, The mountain was gone, replaced by a great crystal tower rising from the earth. At its center stood an ancient throne, glowing with blue and gold. Cole turned to her. "I think it wants you to sit." She shook her head. "Not alone." She placed her small hand on his. Leading him forward, together they touched the throne, and the heart sank into its core. Energy raced up the tower, shooting into the heavens like lightning. Far above, the Imperial fleet went silent. Every soldier dropped their weapons as the command signals vanished. On the flagship, the usurper regents screamed as his systems shut down. "The heart has chosen," echoed across the combs before everything went dark. Cole stood beside Liara, watching as the tower's light softened. The girl looked up at him, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "It's over," she whispered. "The Empire is free." He smiled tiredly. "Guess I did fix something after all." She laughed softly through her tears. "You fixed more than a machine. You fixed a world." For the first time in years, Cole felt peace. The ache in his chest, the grief he carried for so long, felt lighter now. Liara turned to him. "Will you stay?" "The heart calls you part of its legacy." He shook his head gently. "No, Princess, your people need you. Not an old soldier like me. But I can't do this alone," she said, her voice trembling. Cole smiled, placing his hand on her shoulder. "You won't be alone. You've got a whole galaxy watching you now." The wind rushed through the tower, carrying warmth instead of dust. Outside, the first rays of morning painted the wasteland gold. Ships that once hunted her now circled in formation, not as enemies, but protectors. Liara turned back to him one last time. "Thank you, Cole Heron of Terra," he chuckled. "Just Cole is fine." Then, before stepping away, he looked at the heart's light and whispered, "If you ever need fixing again, you know where to find me." He walked out of the tower, his boots crunching over the shining sand. Behind him, the Empire's future stood reborn. Ahead of him, a quiet horizon, endless, peaceful, waiting. The stars above glimmered like old friends. And somewhere deep in the mountain's core, the heart pulsed once more, its voice echoing in the wind. Humanity and hope endure. Cole smiled as he looked back one last time. The mechanic who once fixed broken ships had repaired the destiny of worlds. And though his journey was ending, a new one had already begun.